You live in Colorado. You've been thinking about buying an AR-15, maybe for home defense, maybe for the range, maybe for hunting. But you've been putting it off. Here's what you need to know. You have until August 1st, 2026 to buy that rifle without jumping through new hoops. Because on August 1st, a new law goes into effect. Colorado Senate Bill 25003. And it completely changes how you buy semi-automatic rifles in Colorado. After August 1st, you'll need a permit from the sheriff's office, you'll need to take a state-approved safety course, you'll need to pay fees, you'll need to wait. And if you don't get the permit, you can't buy the rifle. Period. This is the Colorado countdown, and the clock is ticking. You have less than 6 months. And if you don't act before the deadline, buying a semi-automatic rifle in Colorado becomes a bureaucratic nightmare. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed yet? Because what I'm about to reveal affects every gun owner in Colorado who might want to buy a semi-automatic rifle in the future. And 90% of Colorado gun owners have no idea this deadline is coming. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss warnings about deadlines that could limit your gun rights. You just buy it the old way. That's why this deadline matters. If you've been thinking about buying an AR-15, an AK-47, or any other semi-automatic rifle, you need to do it before August 1st. After that date, it becomes a huge hassle. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine a guy named Mike. Mike lives in Denver. He's been thinking about buying an AR-15 for a couple years. He wants it for home defense and to take to the range. But he's been busy. He keeps putting it off. On July 15th, 2026, Mike's friend tells him about the deadline. Mike says, "Oh, I didn't know. I should probably buy one before the law changes." Mike goes to a gun shop on July 30th. He picks out an AR-15. He fills out the Form 4473. He passes the background check. He pays. He takes the rifle home. Mike made it just under the deadline. He's glad he acted. Now imagine a different scenario. Imagine a woman named Lisa. Lisa also lives in Colorado. She's also been thinking about buying a semi-automatic rifle, but she doesn't follow gun news closely. She doesn't know about the August 1st deadline. On August 15th, 2026, Lisa walks into a gun shop. She says, "I want to buy that AR-15. The dealer says, "Do you have your certificate of eligibility?" Lisa says, "What's that?" The dealer explains. Lisa has to leave without the rifle. She's frustrated. She has to find a safety course. The next available course isn't until September. She takes the course. She applies for the certificate. The sheriff takes 3 weeks to process it. By the time Lisa gets her certificate, it's late September. She goes back to the shop. The rifle she wanted is sold out. She has to pick a different one. And she's out of pocket $200 in fees and course costs, plus 2 months of waiting. That's the difference. Mike acted before the deadline. Lisa didn't. Mike got his rifle in 20 minutes. Lisa waited 2 months and paid extra fees. If you're finding this helpful so far, imagine what you'll learn in my next video where I break down exactly which rifles are affected by this law and which ones aren't. There are loopholes. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it. Now let's talk about what the law actually covers. Senate Bill 25003 applies to semi-automatic rifles. What's a semi-automatic rifle? It's a rifle that fires 1 round per trigger pull and automatically loads the next round. That includes AR-15s, AK-47s, Mini-14s, and hundreds of other models. It does not include bolt-action rifles. It does not include lever-action rifles. It does not include pump-action rifles. And it does not include handguns. So if you want to buy a Glock, you don't need the certificate. If you want to buy a bolt-action hunting rifle, you don't need the certificate. But if you want to buy any semi-automatic rifle, you need it. Now, here's a twist. The law has an exception for rifles chambered in .22 long rifle rimfire. So if you buy a 1022 Ruger, which is a semi-automatic .22, you don't need the certificate. The law only applies to centerfire semi-automatic rifles. But that still covers the vast majority of popular rifles. AR-15s, AK-47s, AR-10s, SCAR, TAVR, all of them. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. If you live in Colorado and you have questions about whether a specific rifle requires the certificate, consult with a firearms attorney or contact the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Laws change and interpretations vary. Get professional guidance. Now let's talk about the lawsuit. Gun rights groups are challenging Senate Bill 25003 in court. The case is Del Toro versus Polis. Polis is Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado. The plaintiffs argue that the law violates the Second Amendment. They say requiring a permit to buy a rifle is an unconstitutional burden. There's no historical tradition of permit requirements for rifle purchases. The lawsuit was filed in 2025. It's currently working its way through federal court. The plaintiffs have asked for a preliminary injunction to block the law from taking effect. But as of now, no injunction has been granted. That means the law is on track to go into effect on August 1st, 2026, as scheduled. Could the court block it before then? Maybe. If the judge grants a preliminary injunction, the law would be paused while the case is litigated, but don't count on it. You should assume the law will take effect unless a court says otherwise. Let me give you another scenario. Imagine a guy named Tom. Tom lives in Colorado Springs. He hears about the lawsuit. He thinks, great, the courts will strike this down. I don't need to rush. Tom waits. August 1st comes and goes. The law takes effect. The lawsuit is still pending. No injunction has been granted. Tom now needs a certificate to buy a rifle. He's frustrated. He should have bought before the deadline. The lesson is, don't rely on lawsuits to save you. Buy now while you can. If the law gets struck down later, great, but don't gamble on that. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the 50,000 gun owners who get these updates first. Click subscribe. Now let's talk about the safety course requirement, because this is where it gets messy. The law says you have to take a state-approved firearms safety course. But what does that mean? The course has to be approved by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. The CBI is supposed to publish a list of approved courses and instructors. But as of now, that list doesn't exist. The CBI is still working on the standards. So nobody knows yet which courses will qualify. This creates a problem. If you want to get ahead of the August 1st deadline by getting your certificate early, you can't, because there are no approved courses yet. You have to wait for the CBI to finalize the rules. And even after they do, it will take time for instructors to get approved and start offering courses. So there's going to be a rush. In the weeks after August 1st, thousands of Colorado gun owners will be trying to get into safety courses. The courses will be booked solid. You might have to wait weeks or months to get a slot. And then you still have to wait for the sheriff to process your application. This is the bureaucratic nightmare I mentioned. Now let's talk about what's in the course. Based on the law, the course has to cover safe handling and storage of firearms. It has to cover Colorado gun laws, and it has to include a live fire component. You actually have to shoot a rifle as part of the course. The law doesn't specify how many rounds or what the qualification standard is. That's up to the CBI to decide. But the point is, you can't just take an online course and get certified. You have to show up in person. You have to shoot. And you have to pass. Now let's talk about the fees. The law allows the sheriff to charge a fee for processing the certificate of eligibility application. The fee is supposed to cover the cost of the background check and administrative processing. The law caps the fee at the actual cost, but it doesn't say what that cost is. Different counties might charge different amounts. In rural counties with low overhead, the fee might be $25 or $50. In Denver or Boulder, it could be $100 or more. We won't know until the sheriffs start publishing their fee schedules. And on top of the sheriff's fee, you're paying for the safety course. So all in, you're looking at $100 to $250 in costs just to get the certificate. And then you still have to buy the rifle. This is a financial burden on gun owners, especially low-income people. It's a barrier to exercising your Second Amendment rights, and that's exactly the point. The law is designed to make it harder and more expensive to buy rifles. The goal is to discourage purchases. Let me give you one more scenario. Imagine a single mother named Jessica. Jessica lives in Aurora. She works 2 jobs. She's been saving up to buy an AR-15 for home defense. She finally has enough money in June 2026. She's about to buy the rifle. Then she hears about the August 1st deadline. She also hears she'll need to spend another $200 on a course and fees if she waits. Jessica can't afford that. She has to buy now or wait a long time to save up more. Jessica prioritizes. She buys the rifle on July the 20th. She made the deadline. She saved herself the hassle and the extra cost. That's a smart move. Now let's talk about what happens if you already own semi-automatic rifles. If you bought your rifles before August 1st, 2026, you're fine. The law doesn't require you to get a certificate for rifles you already own. It only applies to new purchases after August 1st. So if you own 5 AR-15s right now, you can keep them. You don't need to register them. You don't need a certificate. But if you want to buy a 6th AR-15 after August 1st, you need the certificate. This is important. A lot of people are confused about this. They think the law is retroactive. It's not. It only affects future purchases. So your existing collection is safe, but your ability to expand that collection is restricted. Now let's talk about the political context. Colorado has been shifting blue in recent years. The state legislature is controlled by Democrats. The governor is a Democrat. And they've been passing gun control laws, magazine capacity limits, red flag laws, and now this permit requirement. Gun rights advocates see Colorado as a cautionary tale. If you live in a purple state that's trending blue, this is your future. Your state legislature will pass laws like this, and you'll face the same deadlines and restrictions. That's why it's important to stay informed and act before deadlines. This information could save you months of hassle and hundreds of dollars if you act before August 1st. Subscribe now, because my next video breaks down the exact list of rifles affected by this law, and to which 22 rimfire rifles are exempt. Hit that subscribe button. Now let's talk about enforcement. How will the state enforce this law? When you go to buy a semi-automatic rifle after August 1st, the dealer will ask for your certificate of eligibility. If you don't have it, the dealer cannot complete the sale. If the dealer sells you the rifle without seeing your certificate, the dealer is breaking the law. They could lose their FFL. They could face criminal charges. So dealers will be strict about this. They're not going to risk their licenses. Now, what if you buy a rifle out of state and bring it into Colorado? The law doesn't clearly address this, but based on how these laws usually work, if you're a Colorado resident, you're subject to Colorado law. So if you try to avoid the requirement by buying in Wyoming and bringing it back, you could still be in violation. It's a gray area. Talk to a lawyer before trying that. Now let's talk about private sales. If you buy a rifle from a private seller, not a dealer, do you need the certificate? The law isn't entirely clear on this either, but Colorado already requires background checks for all gun sales, including private sales. So even in a private sale, you'd go through an FFL for the background check. And that FFL would probably ask for the certificate, so you're not avoiding the requirement through private sales. Now let's talk about what you should do right now. If you live in Colorado and you've been thinking about buying a semi-automatic rifle, do it before August 1st. Don't wait. Don't assume the lawsuit will save you. Don't assume the deadline will get extended. Act now. Go to a gun shop. Pick out the rifle you want. Buy it. If you're on the fence about whether you even want a rifle, here's my advice. Buy it anyway. You can always sell it later if you change your mind. But you can't go back in time and buy it before the deadline if you miss it. So err on the side of buying now. And if you're worried about cost, save up. Skip some dinners out. Cut back on other expenses. Prioritize this. Because after August 1st, it's going to cost more and take longer. Now, if you absolutely cannot buy before the deadline, here's what to do. Start planning now for getting your certificate. Watch for the CBI to publish the list of approved courses. As soon as it's published, sign up for a course immediately. Don't wait. The courses will fill up fast. Take the course. Apply for the certificate as soon as you finish. Then wait for the sheriff to process it. The faster you act, the faster you get your certificate. Look, I spend hours every week tracking state gun laws, watching for deadlines, and warning gun owners about upcoming restrictions so you don't lose rights because you didn't know. The least you can do is subscribe to make sure you never miss a deadline that could limit your gun rights. Subscribe right now. And if you found this helpful, share it with every gun owner in Colorado. Most of them have no idea about August 1st. They need to know.